Good morning, everybody. Hopefully, you guys had an awesome weekend. I know it was definitely an interesting day back today after the weekend, but I want to break down every setup traded today. Definitely was a roller coaster, and things are kind of shifting out there. So, this is going to be a great video on learning how to navigate this current market that we're in, as I still try to nail some things down as well. Now, I want to start in order here. We'll start in pre-market and head on into the open. Now, and I want to start with this trade here. Oh, man. So I took small size here going into the bell, and this thing led so much strength behind it. I was like, man, this thing looks incredible. And just did not get the move here that I was wanting. And this thing was a little bit too wide. And really, this thing broke down. And here's the thing. I loved this setup. The daily here was tremendous. And I got some slippage on the play here, man. I was wanting to see this hold off this higher high going into the open. And so that means it really has to hold off this level right here. And so it starts to break down underneath that level, and I go to try to take the loss on it, and guess what? I get some nasty slippage on it. So this thing 165 down to 155, an extra 10 cents a share of risk. Thanks to that slippage. So started the day with a little bit of a loss here, a little bit of red. This was a great setup, though. I mean, if you were watching RELI this morning, you saw the strength at the bell here, so I was really wanting to see if this thing could really get curling back to retest these highs into market open today. Obviously didn't happen. Took a little loss here, but hey, it was still a green day, so check this out. Now, after this, we went on over and I saw LRE. Now, I have some pretty good trades on LRE as well. This was one, though, where it's trying to put in place bottoms here, and this thing also looked pretty awesome. And obviously not a home run play here. I was still trying to break the ice this morning, and I traded it well. I really did trade it well. And so we had this low form here. Look at this. We had these higher lows forming here going into market open. And as you can see here, we go into the bell. We then again confirm more higher lows. And so again, I'm looking for this wedge to start to put in place a range and break to the upside up through VWAP and really get squeezing here if we got over VWAP. And this thing looked incredible. And so I know we've got range up into the pre-market highs here if this thing does get breaking out over VWAP. And so I just keep on taking pullbacks here. And I played it fairly well. I have a little bit of profit on this morning, just little base hit wins. And I took off the pullbacks here. Sold it back into strength. Tried to get an ad here for the break higher. Of course, didn't follow through higher. Went ahead and sold after it rejected off of VWAP. It pulls back again, puts in place this bottom. Again, I try to take it for a pullback for that break back higher. Again, small little win through here. And so I don't really make a whole lot happen here. I'm just trying to break the ice still. I'm looking for this to really get going for the break of VWAP here. And it looked tremendous. I mean, this is an awesome looking setup. And I managed it to a T. So really happy with the way that I managed it. After that, going over to OPI, and this one is actually where stuff starts to get really good this morning. I sort of pulled the day back in the right direction from OPI, ONFO, and NAOV. All of those were tremendous setups this morning and really enabled me to end the day green. And so this is awesome where we've got this top formed off the high here. We can see in pre-market area of supply formed here. And so a little bit of a riskier setup here, taking it off the highs, but it was an amazing looking setup as it was putting in place a bottom off the 9-moving average. And so this pulls back. You can see here, it breaks out, retests the highs, pulls back off the 9 EMA and gets bought back up. And we start putting in this higher low. And so what do? I take it and try to get that breakout higher. And so I take it here off the pullback and I capture it for a nice little play from 77 cents back to about 80 cents. And as you can see right here, took off the pullback, sold up into strength. Because I know, look, we've got the pre-market high directly overhead. Why am I going to get greedy here and try to hold this longer when it's already a slower start to the morning? So again, just trying to get some profit here, trying to break the ice a little bit, and I did really well there. Now, price then pulls back aggressively and gets shot off the highs, and then a major wick off the low, signaling buyers found it here off these pullbacks. And then, of course, again, it pulls back again, and again, steps up again off the lows. And so we have, again, this confirmation of higher lows. And cool. And so price pivots and breaks back above moving averages here. I take the entry for the break back higher to retest top of its range, as you can see right here. And I get a nice little play here. Look at this. And I take this thing, as you can see here, from about 75 cents back to about 77 cents. So a nice little base hit trade. Same thing happens again. Look at this. Price pulls back again aggressively, gets bought back up. And so I say, well, let's try this again. And it's just working. It's just a really clean setup. And so again, we have these higher lows getting put in here, and so again, I just take it again. And I get a tremendous move here to end. And so I take it here from, you can see 75 cents back up into about 80 cent range, back up into the highs from pre-market. And then, of course, take the full profit up here into the highs. And what does it do? Reverses and nice back into the lows. And so I trade this thing to a T. I couldn't have traded this any better, I don't think. I'm really happy with it. The reason why I'm so happy with it is because opportunity was so slim this morning, and I would call this a B-class setup. It's not an A-plus setup, but it was B at best. But there was still enough opportunity in a predictable way where I was able to take these trades and at least do something here to break the ice and get my day back in the right direction. But then going on from this, we had ONFO, which is where stuff really starts to get interesting here. And ONFO is one of those that you almost wish to see. Stuff like this, I just hope to see every day. this thing was tremendous. And it doesn't even look like it was that much of a move, but the fact is of how much volume this thing was trading. You can see here up on the top left, this thing was trading 1.5, 2 million shares of volume per candle here. And you've got to think on this stock on ONFO, I mean, the float is extremely tiny. I mean, you figure 3.5 million share float, and this thing is rotating its float, candles. So the volume here is tremendous. Price action was extremely, extremely nice trade. So much volume on this, man. And so again, played this very, very well. Of course, I missed this first move, which I was kicking myself so hard because I found this right here. I pulled it up right here, and I was going to take it off the 90 MA, but I was like, why is this thing gapping up? Because look at this. It halts up on, like, no volume. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is just a pump and dump. I don't get trapped in a halt down on this. And so I wait. And it's always better to wait for confirmation and be late to it than, take your confirmation and be early to it. And so this thing makes a massive move here from, one way to about $2 a share, knifes off the high, and then gets bought back up off these pullbacks because it's still maintaining the front side of its move, it's the side of its move. And so after it confirms back over VWAP, I take the entry risk in this past low for the move back up into these previous highs. And I pretty much get that. You can see I take it here. I'm able to take it at 163. I get a move up into the 180s. Price pulls back. I get a nice add back off of VWAP. And then I get the next leg back up into the highs. And I take a full profit after we reject out of this past area of supply. And so overall, again, we're getting some profit going here. 164 to about 180 on the play. And we're doing pretty well. This was a beautiful looking setup. And I was really wanting to see this, though. You can see, I'll show you what happened here. Why I took that profit. I was wanting to see it get ripping up through 2. But see what happens here is it actually grabs liquidity. That's a perfect sign for a exit reversal. You can see here it finally breaks out of this wedge. Again, it rejects instantly, so it took a full profit. Because anytime you see something try to break out, break high, and it instantly rejects back beneath that past candle's high, take that exit. Per the system, take that exit because that shows you the price does not want to head higher yet. The market is not ready. And so I was able to play this fairly well. And again, the volume here is tremendous. This thing was so awesome, man. So that was pretty good. But moving on from that, we had NAOV. And this thing was crazy. Now, I had a really good move on this. I'll show you here. Look at this. From 1270, 1280, all the way to about 1650. I had a pretty good move on this. But it was tough, and I'll tell you why. I couldn't really take any share size on it. I was very small on it because that risk was definitely prevalent here. And the issue is I'm already small green to start the week today. I'm already, I have a little bit of cushion, but nothing too crazy. But this thing has a 790,000 share float. Extremely, extremely thin. Whenever you have a super small float like that, you also have, typically on a stock like this that's $15 a share, a wide spread. And so in the case of this here, you can easily, it's not to get slippage of $1, $2 a share, or get stuck in a halt down on something like this. It's really got to be smart. You've really got to put into perspective the risk of the trade. And for that reason, I traded the way that I wish that I could have. If it was a little bit of a cheaper stock, I think I could have done a lot better on it. But still traded it really, really well, all things considered. And I'll show you here. Now, I took it to start here in a really similar fashion to what worked back here on the second move. Where this thing just sort of stair steps up here. You can see how choppy it is through here. Look how wicky these candles are. Then it finally gets going here. And so this gets going, it halts up, it pulls back off of VWAP, grabs liquidity, and then halts, or then makes the move to the new highs. And so then it tries to put in place a range here, and I'm looking for these pullbacks to hold. You can see here what I'm looking for. And I'm looking to take these pullbacks to the break higher. Now, I'm pretty much break even on the stock all through here because I take a pullback, take some profit, take a pullback, stop the rest out beneath entry. So overall break even. And I'm just so worried the whole time of a nasty move to the downside, then it halts down. And so I made the right call here of getting out. Of course, it broke trend. But then it pulls back and it reclaims. So check this out. It pulls back, downtrend breaks. We pivot back over VWAP here. Look at this. Price pivots back over VWAP. I take the first pullback, risking the bottom of this candle here at 1230 from 1250 to 1280 entry. So 50 cents a share of risk, guys. And then I get stuck in a halt up instantly after. Look at this. Halts up. And so from here, I'm a little bit nervous because we've got the previous high sitting right here, which other traders could see as this thing is in a halt and be like, no, I don't want this. And they could begin to place some sell orders before the halt or before the resumption, and we could see a knife. And so I was a little bit nervous here. I didn't really want to get stuck in a halt. Of course, that's just the nature of a stock like this with such a small float, it can either way. And we get a pretty strong resumption. I just take a full profit because, again, I'm a little bit nervous up here. And as you can see, we're up into the pre-market highs. And so I just take a full profit. Or not the pre-market highs, but the previous high of day. So I take a full profit. And so I have it here from, you can see, from 1280 back to about 14. So pretty nice play. Don't get me wrong. And then we come up off the highs here. Now we have the previous high formed right here. And again, we break over this high. Again, this is an area of supply. Once price breaks above, pulls back, confirms, this becomes an area of demand. And so we actually put in place a nice range here. We put in place a really, really nice here. So of course we have, again, overall front side move. We have reclaimed trend, broken back to the upside. This becomes an area of demand. And we're putting in place this range here again. So we've got this this low leads to a higher low, and so we can assume this will also continue to put in place higher lows as it attempts to retest its previous high of day. And so I take small size again, and again, I'm able to grab it here off the bottom of this range here from 14.97, risk in 14.30. So about 50, 60 cents a share of risk again. Then I capture a move here at about 16.50. And then we see it begin to hesitate off the highs, as you can see right here. This pull off the high, this little doji, again, signaling indecision. And so just like that, able to at least get out of this with some profits. So again, very happy with this. It's just a lot of risk carried on this today where I couldn't really take any share size because of the risk that came with it. Of course, very thin setup, huge spread that I just wasn't too comfortable with. So I'm just overall just happy with the morning. Happy with the day all in all. And so that pretty much sums up the recap of the morning. It was kind of a weird day, really base hit morning, but some really good stuff on NAOV, as you can see here. I mean, this is about a $3, $3.50 move on small size though. So again, don't get it twisted. The big thing to note is just these pre-market runners are not holding up too well into market open, so that's going to be something I place less focus on. You can see one of my only losses this morning was that one in pre-market on RELI from 175s. And so that's going to be something I put less focus on as we go through the rest of the week and just try to just keep on edging higher as we go into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and turn this week into an awesome green week. So that all being said, if you did learn something from this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button for daily content just like this. And as always, make sure to hit that link down in the description below to claim your 7-day free trial to watch me trade stocks just like these in real time every single day and get alerts, watch list, chat room access, education, and so much more. That being said, I will see you there, and I will see you back here tomorrow at the same time.